This Kalua pork will make you say, luau. Aloha everyone. Today we're going to be making some Kalua pork. This Kalua pork is going to be a relatively easy preparation of some pulled pork that we're later going to be able to use for some sandwiches. Traditionally, Kalua pork is a whole pig that is slow roasted in an imu. An imu is an underground pit that is filled with wood and stones that will slow roast the pork over a long period of time. Today we're going to be doing our own version of this using banana leaves and our Big Kahuna Rub. We're going to be putting it on our smoker and slow roasting it overnight so that we can make some sandwiches tomorrow. For our Kalua pork, we're going to be using a bone-in pork butt. This is going to give us a good fat content so that we have a lot of moisture and a lot of flavor in our pulled pork, but it's also going to be a good size so that we can feed a lot of people. And a great thing about this recipe is that pork butts like this are really easily found in grocery stores. First, I'm going to get this out of the plastic wrap and I'm going to blot it dry with some paper towels. I want to get as much of that moisture off of here as possible, and that's going to help our rub to adhere to the meat a little better. Now that I've patted it dry, I'm going to score the fat cap on the top here, and that's going to help the seasoning to penetrate the meat a little better as well. On the other sides where there's not as much fat, it should adhere really well. So once I score, we'll be ready to season. And we're going to go just about a ½ inch in. About every 2 inches we'll make a line. Don't need to go too deep. We don't want to disturb the overall structure of the meat, but we do want to get some seasoning penetration down into it. And then we'll cross hatch going the other way. Again, for our Kalua pork, we're going to be using our Big Kahuna Pineapple Teriyaki Rub. This is going to have a lot of those classic Hawaiian flavors like pineapple, soy, ginger. That's going to complement our pork really well. So I'm going to season directly onto the meat. I'm not going to use any binder in this situation because after we season, we're going to be wrapping it up immediately. So that'll help those seasonings stick to the meat and stay on the meat during the cooking process. So I'm going to go really nice and generous because we are seasoning about 9.5, 10 pounds of meat here. So we want to make sure that we get enough on there. Pat it in there a little bit. And then we're going to start rotating and getting all sides. A little more on that side. So I'm going to massage this into that scored fat cap that we have here. So we get it down in the cracks so that can go into the meat as it cooks. And now I'm going to let the meat rest for about 30 minutes at room temperature. That's going to help the meat start to absorb the seasoning before we get it wrapped up and on the smoker. Now that we've let our pork butt rest with that seasoning on there, it's really absorbed a lot of those flavors and we're ready to wrap it up. Today we're going to be using banana leaves, which are going to mimic the tea leaves that are very common in the traditional Kalua pork. So we're going to lay out our banana leaves and then we're going to roll the pork butt up both ways so that it's fully wrapped. After that, we're going to secure it with some butcher's twine and we'll be ready for the smoker. Now you can find these banana leaves at a lot of different markets or you can find them online. I found mine at a local Asian market. They had them in the freezer section, so I just let them thaw overnight. And now they are nice, pliable, and ready to use. That looks like a good one to use. And then the other one will be right under it. Now these are kind of fibrous, so if you don't try to rip them, do use a knife, especially around the edges, so that they'll tear kind of like pulling a string on a sweater. So I'm gonna set this on here. And like I said, we're just gonna roll it up in that banana leaf. And what these banana leaves are gonna do is gonna keep all that moisture during the cooking process in and close to the meat so that it all stays put where we want it. Now we'll go the other way. Then, like I said, I'm going to start tying this up with some butcher twine so that we get a really nice seal. So I'm going to slide the string underneath here. And it doesn't need to be extremely tight, but we want to make sure that those banana leaves don't slough off during the smoking process. Then we'll go the opposite way with 2 more. Kind of fold those leaves down in so you don't tear them. Another one on this side. cut off this extra string just because I don't need it. I have our smoker preheated to 225 degrees outside, and we're gonna go low and slow on there with a mesquite blend of wood. Mesquite is gonna be the closest to a traditional smoke that we're gonna get on this pork, so we're gonna set it for about 16 hours, and we'll check on it tomorrow morning. After about 16.5 hours, our pork came up to a temperature of 203 degrees, at which point I pulled it and I set it in an empty oven to rest for about 45 minutes, and that'll just bring those juices back into the fold so that we don't lose them if we shred too soon. I'm really happy with this recipe so far because all I did yesterday is I seasoned and wrapped it, and then I put it in the smoker, and I kind of forgot about it until this morning. I didn't have to wrap it halfway through. I didn't have to probe temperature it because that time worked out really well. So I'm really excited to open this up and see what our final product is. And this smells amazing. You can smell the pineapple flavors from the Big Kahuna Rub, but you're also getting this sweet floral aroma coming from the banana leaves, which is really cool. So I'm excited to see how that plays in the flavor. All right, now I'm just gonna start tearing these, and they should be pretty brittle and come apart pretty easily now. And I'm already seeing some dark coloration of juices where that caramelized on there. And oh man, look at this. Look at that. Just gorgeous color on this. And extremely tender. So it smells amazing, it really does. The banana leaves, looks like it really kept in that moisture very, very well and added a little bit of flavor. Oh, I'm really excited to try this. You can see it's juicy. It's got a beautiful smoke flavor. It's juicy, it's tender. I'm really happy with the seasoning that we chose for this. I'm really happy with the way the banana leaves performed. It has to be one of the best pulled porks I've ever had. I'm gonna shred this up, and then we're gonna make some final sliders with our Big Kahuna sauce as well, and we'll give it a final taste. Now, I'm gonna pull this and slide it out from on the banana leaves directly onto my tray. One of the reasons I'm doing that is I'm gonna try and keep all those juices that are in the bottom there with the pork so I can fold them into the meat as I shred it. All that is flavor on flavor that we wanna keep with our meat. All right, so one of my favorite tricks is you find the bone here, you pull that bone out. It's still gonna be pretty hot, but then instead of using your hands to shred this, you're gonna use that bone and just start breaking apart the meat. And break up that fat cap that's on top and mix that in. You can just see how juicy this is. I mean, every point, every fiber of this pork butt is still nice and juicy. There's no drying out whatsoever. All right. So I'm gonna toast up some buns, and we're gonna throw these on some sliders, and we'll be ready to do our final taste. We're gonna top these off with a little bit of our Big Kahuna Huli Huli sauce, and we'll be ready to try. That is some of the best pulled pork I've ever had. It is absolutely melt in your mouth. Tender, juicy, full of flavor. And there's just that hint of sweetness with the pineapple. The salt and savory levels with the soy and the ginger from the rub and the sauce come through really nicely. And there's just a tinge of floral from the banana leaves that I tasted before. And I'm really happy with the way these turned out. These are gonna be a big hit. For this recipe and much more, head to psseasoning.com. Check us out on all forms of social media. And if you like this video, please click subscribe. Until next time, I'm Chef Jed. Thanks for watching.